I speak it though, what's on your mind, it's deep though, we'll speak it though, we on the air, just take it there, I'ma take it there. Hold up, yeah, I talk about it, but I'm real about it, I speak on it, but don't catch feels about it, we can chop it up, like it's nothing, baby.
What's going on, everybody? We here live here on the OT Radio Show, and man, we got a great show for y'all today. Today, you know what? We're gonna have no chaser today. Today is straight talk with no chaser. We're gonna get into a lot of things, but hey, we got a good guest here today. Today we got Tonya McKenzie join us here today, but I'm gonna call her Miss T. You hear me? I'm gonna call her Miss T. All right, she's the founder of Sandy's Insure. She's the host of Leaders in Learning podcast. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a publicist. She's an author. I mean, listen, she do a whole lot of other stuff, y'all. I'm just going to be upfront with y'all. She do a whole lot of other stuff, you know, commission, board, all that good stuff. But hey, we got to hear, and we going to talk a little bit. So, man, what's going? And y'all see what she got on there, right, y'all? You see what she got on there, Commissioner. Y'all see it, right? Yeah, she drinking her tea right there. She drinking the tea. What's going on with you? How you feeling?
I was wondering if you could see what the cup says. Ready for the shit show. Welcome to the shit show. I thought that would be perfect for our conversation today.
Yes. What's going on with you today?
Man, ready to get into it. Just feeling blessed, thrilled to be here, and always open to, sharing a good word with good people.
All right. Well, let's dive right into it, because I'm not going to start off with the usual thing, where you're from, how you got started. Forget all that. This is straight talk, no chaser, ready for the shit show, right?
Absolutely.
So we ready for it. So let's talk about you and Sandy Shores. How did all this start?
Well, let's see. I've always loved helping people, so I majored in sociology. But what wound up happening is they don't tell you, you have to, you're not going to make any money in sociology. So during my time in college, I did a lot of public relations and media relations and marketing. So when I got out, I started working for a firm in the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay. I live in LA. So, they not like us. They're not like me. Most of the people out here in LA are not like me, but loving it out here. Anyways, in the Bay, I worked for a advertising firm, and part-time, I worked for a YMCA. Nonprofits, you get to help people, but what they don't tell you, I accepted a position as associate executive director, and they didn't tell me I actually didn't have money. They didn't have money for me, so I had to build my own position. I was living in a town that became a city. I don't know how many people have ever had that experience, but that transition from a town to a city is immense. So learning how to get the message out about what the organization was trying to do, they needed to build a facility that could basically take care of the people or the people that will be coming to that city. Well, how do you do that if you don't have any money? Well, you have to start telling the story of the organization, the way the organization has impacted other lives. You have to start creating like collaborations with other organizations, partnerships with the city, things of that nature. Eventually, we wound up being in the media a lot, and more people started to know about us. We raised over $1 million with my ability to get earned media for the YMCA and the programs that we were doing. I went back recently to that facility, and it's a whole lifestyle center now. So it's good to be able to look back on your legacy and see what you were able to accomplish. But when I came to LA, I worked for Southland Publishing. So that's a big publisher out here that puts out a bunch of different magazines for West LA. And they were not using a lot of technology. And I was like, this is boring. Like, come on. And they were like, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing for the last 40 years. I was like, okay, bye. And I started Sand and Shores, and that, it's story's been told. And that was more because my clients, I started a magazine first, and I started getting a lot of magazine advertisers, but they knew that they needed more than just advertising, right? Because who remembers the last full page ad they saw? Not too many people, but I bet you can always remember a good story.
Yeah.
So helping these people get more PR and tell their story in a way that got them more publicity, I was like, I'm good at this. I've been doing it for a while. Let me see how many more people I can help before I leave this place.
Uh huh. So now doing all that, right? Well, first, you got me with they hired you and they ain't had no money. So now you got to build all that up. Like, how did you feel at that moment when they was like, well, we really ain't got no money for you?
I was so fresh out of college, so desperate to have a job, and my mom had passed, and I was taking care of my two little sisters. So
Mm-hmm.
5 and 7 at the time. Me and my husband, boyfriend at the time, fiance at the time, had moved out to the Bay, and I was like, I need to build my legacies and understand the work I had done in college. I knew that I could make this position something incredibly impactful. How did I feel? I was hot as fish grease, but they also gave me the flexibility to be able to build it myself.
Okay.
So builder, and I had the opportunity to figure it out on my own. I worked at our health center also when I was in college, and my job was
Mm-hmm.
to get the word out. We were the first organization, I think, in Los Angeles County that had an anonymous HIV testing at our university, because Northridge is in the Santa Clarita Valley. We're in the valley. And what I found out, because remember I told you I'm not from LA, is that that was the porn capital of the world at the time. So
what? Hold up. Really?
Yeah. That's
So
where all the adult films were being filmed, in the valley.
So all y'all people, Double X, Pornhub, all that good stuff, that's all what it was at.
Happening in the valley. And then, so I get the internship. It was marketing and PR for the health center. I accepted the position already. So then the director says, here, you do this. We need to get the word out, because it's a commuter campus also, meaning everything that we do on campus also impacts the community.
Right.
So we don't just do a thing. We have to do a thing, and it's not just for the students, it's for the whole community. And I was like, he was like, get the word out. I need you to get the word out to everybody about this testing, because apparently it was grant money or something. And it was like, well, we need to see the numbers, get as many people in as possible. I was like, how do I do that? He was like, I don't know. It's up to you. Again, it's like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. So I spent the summer getting the word out about anonymous HIV testing, taking it back to, the YMCA position. It was technically, it's a health and wellness job. Really, it's about building healthy communities, healthy, active older adults, teenagers, daycare, the sports teams that were around there. I built a program so that they could start working out, get a membership to start working out in our facility, buy new equipment. Don't give me a budget and tell me do it your way. Oh, it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's legal, but it's gonna happen. We gonna work it out. We'll have some fun. It'll get done. I don't know who will get in trouble, but okay.
Right? It's going to get done, though. It's going to get done.
Yeah. So, taking my experience from Northridge, actually, and being able to implement it in what was going on in the Bay Area at that YMCA was just an incredible opportunity. And when I see opportunity, I just get excited. I get tired too, but I get excited about doing good work.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your, PR, right? You got to give us a story. You got to give us a good story. You got to give us a story that you was like, yo, I can't believe this is happening. You got to give it to us, because a lot of people don't understand what a publicist go through. They don't. So you got to give us a story, because it's nothing like hearing a publicist story off of something that they was like, well, you know what, this person did good, or this company did good, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to figure out why this person did this. And I know you got some horror stories. I know you got some good stories. Doing 30 years of it, there's some stories.
There's some good stories, some bad stories, and some in the middle. I will say my favorite story is always going to be the building of that YMCA, because that's really where I learned how to reach out to media and create stories. Okay. And when I say create stories, I don't mean Donald Trump create stories. I mean, figure out what is trending and find what's going on in your space that works with what's trending, right? So if it's a here's a good one. So I had a kid. It happened before I started working there. Apparently, in that city, there was two kids were racing their cars down the main street, and there was an accident, and one died, and the other wound up doing time in DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice. And the kid that passed away, he was beloved by the family, by the city. Everybody loved him. He played high school baseball, and he had a great story and a great family. Well, when I started working there, probably about a year after I started working there, the other young man wound up getting out of DJJ. So he was the villain in the city, right? So what I wound up doing is building a teen program that would give him a space to be in, right? But I didn't make it just for him, but I knew that finding opportunities to highlight the good work that these teenagers were doing and some of the cool things that they would come up with to do in the teen programs, and then having him a part of the rehabilitation story, the positive things that teenagers can do. It just wound up, I think, transforming his reputation in the city.
Okay.
So for me, it was being able to get our teen programs in the media, but it was also a personal win because he was a part of those teen programs, right? And it uplifted the opportunity for forgiveness in this small town. So that's probably one of my favorites. I would say one of the worst ones recently happened. Actually, one of my clients asked me, it was an author, if I could help get her book on the banned book list.
What? What?
But okay. So this goes to the point where there's such a misconception about public relations. When people are like, oh, all publicity is good publicity. So maybe if I'm vilified, then I'll get all this attention. I was like, no, ma'am. No, I don't know who you've been talking to, but that's a no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So there are times when we have to deal with misconceptions. And that's actually one of the nicer ones because it's gotten ugly. The misconceptions about what public relations professionals actually do on a regular basis is outlandish. But for her to say that, I'm like, and you're a Black author?
Right.
Ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah, that don't even make no sense. So let's talk about that a little bit, the misconception, because it is a lot of misconception out there about publicists and the things that they do.
Yes.
A whole lot. Because y'all are under pressure on a lot of things. Y'all got to put out a lot of fires, good and bad. And like your thing says, a shit show. There's a lot of it. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions that publicists have. Like, all y'all do is just do good press. Not true.
Here's the thing. We are responsible for helping you build a positive reputation. That means building trust with the community or the audience that you are speaking to, right? So if we're giving you advice, it's in your best interest. But we also deal with people that think they know better. You know who's a great example of that? Donald Trump or Elon Musk. I don't even think they have a PR team anymore because you can tell that they are not listening to anybody. Like they're just a great example. And then on the reverse of that, if anybody's been paying attention to Kamala Harris's press run recently, when she started, she did The View. And I remember one of her errors was when they asked her, what would you do different? Right. And after she did that interview, it was all negative publicity about that. She has gone on about 10 different spaces since then. Her past interview, when someone asked her that, her contentious Fox interview, she was ready.
Yeah.
She was like, yes, my lived experience, my this, my that, I'm on it. That's media training. That is something that a publicist does. So the minute it happened, most of my publicist friends were like, she did the work. Like somebody did the work to train her. and she did what she was told. I have had clients that do not do that. They do not listen. And I will actually fire them now. And that's the fun part about having your own firm is you can fire your clients. I was like, this is great.
Right.
And that just means, listen, you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
And you are my work product. So why am I going to have you? That's like if I go get my hair done and I'm outside looking crazy, but everybody knows who my beautician is. That's bad advertising.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, it has to work both ways. I'm going to give you all the knowledge. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to help you build your reputation, be transparent. If you mess up, I'm going to show you how to get right and apologize and not get canceled. But everybody don't listen. You know, some of them out there acting like bad kids.
Now, I got a question for you, because I know a lot of times, publicists, how do you choose your clients? Because a lot of times, a lot of clients is not on this. Well, a lot of publicists and clients are not on the same vision of what the person or the client has. How do you choose your clients?
You know, early in my career, I probably would have just took anybody. And I did. I took anybody that said they needed PR. You need it? You want to pay me? I'm going to do the work.
Right.
But what you realize is not everyone is ready for PR. So I do have a checklist of, are you even ready? Is your brand ready for public relations? And if they're not, I'm sorry, I give them my best advice. I also have written and published a bunch of manuals now. They're on Amazon, but it's really about getting your brand ready. This is what I ask people. Who are you and why should I care? If you can't answer that, we are not ready for public relations. If you don't know who you are, how am I going to get other people to know who you are?
Right. That's true. That's true.
And that's, you know, I've been doing some trainings for Black Podcast Association, and that's what I tell the podcasters. Who are you and why should they care? Why should anybody care about what you're talking about? And it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but if you can't even enunciate that, you know what I'm saying? You should be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be your second biggest cheerleader, but I need you to be your biggest cheerleader. And what do cheerleaders do? They support, they cheer you on, you know, they tell you what to do. And if you can't even do that for yourself, if you don't even have the motivation for yourself, I can't be more excited about you and your brand than you are.
Yep, I agree.
So that's usually where we start. And then a lot of publicists have a niche. They're like, well, I just do music and I just don't. Living in LA, I tried to actually stay away from that. I have had a few athletic clients, movies. That's not my jam, though. That's just not my jam because it's a little more superficial than I want to be. And I like doing meaningful work. Not that movies aren't, but when they have I wouldn't say a nonprofit side, but more of a goodwill side to it, I will work with a client. I will find a way, because if someone's out in the world trying to leave the world better than they got it, I will work with you. And it's not just about fame, and it's not just about popularity, because that's ego driven. And when things are ego driven, it does not come together well. We're watching that currently in the political spectrum. When it is about you and not how you serve others and not how you impact other people's lives and not how you, again, leave this world better than you got it, I can't work with you. But there are publicists that do, and that's fine. We different.
Yeah, very different. But I like that approach, you know what I mean? Especially when you talk about community service, especially when you talk about doing good things, goodwill, nonprofits and stuff like that. That's giving back.
Giving back. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't know anybody who has made it as far as they have by themselves.
Yep.
I just don't.
I agree. Now, let's talk about your podcast right there. You know, you're the host. Yes. Leaders and Learn. How did that all come about?
So being a publicist and working with as many authors as I have, I realized that people have some incredible stories. I thought my story was incredible. Oh my God. But the stories that people that have been on my podcast have shared with me and shared with my audience is out of this world, good, bad, and otherwise. And what do I mean by that? Well, listen, if you can get a life lesson out of someone else's story, if you can get a blessing from their lesson,
Mm-hmm.
I want other people to hear that, because those are the things that give others hope. No matter how bad your story is, trust there is somebody who has it worse. And that's really the lesson. I started realizing these people have great stories and they don't have anywhere, because I've been podcasting for about maybe 6 years now.
Uh-huh.
And it really just came out of, I want to have a platform where people that have their books, because we don't be reading. So that's the other problem. It's like, I just want to make America read again. But since they're not, I have a podcast so they can
Right.
also hear your story. And
So
that's it. That's where it started. It's like, I think my first story was one of my first speakers on my podcast was a woman whose husband cheated on her, and then she found out he was gay. And then the whole kerfluffle after that, right? And then another one was a girl that had been sex trafficked by her father.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the types of stories where I have a platform that we can actually share details. And I'm very unafraid. So we're going to get into the sticky stuff. We're going to get into the complex conversation, because a lot of people are afraid to go there. I've actually seen people pull back when they see the conversation getting too heavy. I'm like, no, come back. Let's dig. Get the shovel. We gotta. They're here. We're here. Let's go. And they'd be like, okay, thank you. Bye. Wait, what? So I wanted to make sure that I had a space where people felt comfortable, voicing some of their innermost thoughts and feelings, because that's where you connect. That's the connection there. That's when people get to know, like, and trust you, when you've actually been vulnerable enough to connect with them. So I built Leaders and Learners because no matter how smart we are, no matter how many degrees you have, as long as you're continuing to be open and learning, you're going to be a better leader.
Yes. So let's talk about that a little bit too, because, can you share a time when you had to take that road as a leader, right, as a learner, to improve your leadership?
Wow.
Talk about that.
There's been so many times. I would actually say when I lived in the Bay Area, one of my, would it be then? Maybe it was at Northridge. No, it was when I was in the Bay Area and I was a director for the Chamber of Commerce in Oakley, California. I was the first Black director for that chamber. I might have been the first Black anything elected in that city. And I was the chair of the Man and Woman of the Year event. And I was falling short. I felt like I was falling short. And the president and the mayor actually took me by the hand. They were like, you're doing an amazing job, but let me show you this. And here are different ways. So being kind of in my early adulthood, I had to learn that being humble was important. Humble enough, even though you think you know, or you feel like you can do it, when you start falling short and people are trying to correct you, sometimes you just shut up and listen and take that in. And that actually wound up becoming very helpful when we were opening that YMCA. When I first started, and again, I was very young, but I thought I had all the answers because we had done a lot of work. I had done a lot of work in Northridge to help rebuild the school. I don't know if you knew this, but Cal State Northridge had damn near fell down because we had an earthquake that tore the city down.
Wow.
So I was a part of that rebuilding process when we were looking at how we were going to spend the money, the FEMA money, to rebuild the school. So I thought, doing this job, I just knew what I was doing. I get money to go help buy equipment, and don't give me a budget and some freedom. And we were going to do all these wonderful things. It was one of the first kind of state-of-the-art fitness centers. So, the cardio equipment with the TV monitors on. And so I just knew that city residents were just going to love this. They were just, oh, this is going to be great. Do you know that remember I was working part-time. So one night I was leaving after my full-time job. I go there and work part-time to help build this facility.
Mm-hmm.
I was leaving one night. I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. And I was the last one there.
Mm-hmm.
I go to get in my car, and there was a crowbar in my window and a sign that said, "Go back to where you came from."
What? Oh,
and I was like, oh my God. So I called the police,
mm-hmm.
and they were like, yeah, we don't, what do you say? We don't come to locations and do report, just, come to the station and come do a report. I was like, there's actually a crowbar in my window, and you're going to come get this report. Keep in mind, it had to be like 10 Black people in this whole city. So
Mm-hmm.
this town. So I was feeling some kind of way,
Yeah,
like,
you should.
so I'm telling you that there's a crowbar in my window and I can't drive because it's in my view, and you're not coming. Okay. Let me tell you who I'm going to call. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's, and I started naming some names of who I was
Mm-hmm.
going to call, and they sent an officer and did the report and all that stuff. So what I realized is that maybe I didn't know what I was doing, and I need to rethink my strategy. So I talked to the executive director,
Mm-hmm.
and we wound up having a couple town halls. And in those town halls, some of the older residents started talking about how I'm going to ruin their city and ruin their lives because they've been coming to this decrepit YMCA for so long. It was so bad. Like half of the programs the YMCA was in a restaurant, and the programming part was under the stairs. That's how small it was. Remember, this was a small.
Right.
So, but they're like, you are ruining our life, because they had been coming to this place for so long. They didn't want change, and they were afraid that change, all the technology, was going to displace them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't understand that because I was young and dumb. But having the opportunity to sit and listen to them voice their complaints instead of assuming I knew what they wanted was a supreme lesson in humility, and understanding that you have to listen to hear and not listen to rebut, not listen to respond. So we came up, after we re-strategized, with different ways to be able to basically soft walk them into something that they were afraid of. So that was probably 2 hard lessons. One is people are afraid of change, and don't assume you know what people want. You have to be open to listening. We eventually opened, and the oldest lady in that facility, she was like in her 90s. We wound up getting her a plant that she could come water every day. What I didn't know is she didn't even come to work out. She just comes to be around people.
Wow.
So finding solutions for communities is much more than just providing new things and throwing out money. Like, community is about the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those moments where her name was Madine, and she gave me the business. I don't think she was the one that put the crowbar in my window, because she probably couldn't lift it up. Right. But somebody was speaking for a room full of people that I probably should have had this conversation with before I just decided, this is what we're going to do. And this is going to be amazing. And yes, and I get to have my name on this new building. Yes. And no, they was like, ma'am, no.
So that's why it's definitely important before you start a nonprofit or anything to have conversations with the people in the community to find out what their needs are.
Nonprofits really their main focus is to serve a community. And community could be a group of parents. It could be, a race group. It could be an income group. It could be a disability group, but it is to serve. And if you don't know how to communicate with the community, you're not going to be able to serve them right.
Facts. Big facts. Big fact. Now, when you talk about changes, like that lady was talking about changes and they don't want to change, they've been going through it. With the changes going through right now, especially with the technology and media, how do you see public relations heading into like the next 2 to 5 years? And what should people do and business should do to prepare for it?
Here's the deal. We have to utilize the tools that are available. There's a couple of things. Not every every business and every professional needs public relations, but having a publicist is a luxury. So you're not going to be able. Not everyone's going to be able to afford a publicist, but you need public relations in your business. So you need to learn how to talk to people, how to tell stories, how to connect, how to be authentic without fear. That's first of all. Second, AI is the future. So you can't be afraid of it. I spoke last year at a conference in Poland, and there were so many countries whose publicists have yet to even broach AI for fear of AI. So the fear mongering, even in technology, is wild. You're going to have to use it. Now, don't use it as the end all be all, because it pulls information from humans and humans error. So you do have to know how to fact check and, verify information and things of that nature. But it's a tool like anything else. So you're going to have to embrace AI, and all it's going to do is get more complex and be able to do more things. So if you don't learn how to use it, you're going to be left behind, right? You just are. It's almost like people, 10, 15 years later, finally deciding, oh, I guess I better get me a social media page. I was like, oh,
should have been had one.
But there are really people that are just now starting to use it, and not even to its full capabilities. So we have the opportunity to say, and the option of, hey, let me learn this now and figure out how to get better at it, how to get faster. So that's one for sure, is the AI piece. To embrace, we're going to have to become more complex. And what I mean is having more of a holistic approach. So that's working with others, working adjacent to marketing, being able to help people understand why PR is so important. But I think technology is really going to be the biggest impact on public relations. And not that everyone that's listening will understand, but it's very numbers based. So statistics and analysis is going to be a big deal. You want to understand if what you're doing is working. You want to understand if you're getting the traction that you're really looking for when you're utilizing public relations, and just being able to have a very a very good strategy that's for you, because the same strategy that works for me and my business might not be the same strategy that works for you, because you're telling a different story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your audience is different. So where are they? So hopefully it'll just be an industry that continues to grow in notoriety, meaning people understand that it's more essential than just marketing or putting out ads. And I think that's always going to be our job, is to educate more about when you see PR, this is how you know it's PR. Not. I got into an argument with somebody on Twitter or somewhere about, when the Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing started happening. And I was like, yeah, PR in action. Right? There's no PR in hip hop. And I was like, actually, there was timing. Okay. So when you look at timing, how Kendrick was ready. Timing is PR. Audience, he knew who he was talking to. He knew who was listening, and he got at it. Messaging is important. Your audience is important. All of those things are PR, but people don't understand that. They're just like, there's no PR in hip hop. No, there is. And he is good at it. He's very good at
it. Very good. Very good. Now talk about social media, because there is a lot of people using that platform. But I get kind of upset a little bit, because there's a lot of people that's putting out misinformation, and they are misleading a lot of people, including young kids. I'm just like, wow.
Man, it ain't just young kids.
Adults, everyone.
I got into it with an adult in my life last week that I was so just livid, because I was like, why are you sharing misinformation? No, it's just, it's just, how do you know? Because he didn't go to college? Like, no, fool. Like, there are websites that you can go fact check things. And I actually sent him that. So here's the deal. If we are passing along misinformation and we are continuing to share information that we don't know is valid, we wind up hurting ourselves.
Yep.
Because information that is not true, when people act on it, they're not actually acting on their best interest or even yours. Sometimes it's against your best interest. If you are just blindly believing things, you wind up doing things and acting in a way that is counterintuitive and hurtful to yourself and your own reputation. If you're sharing misinformation, truth of the matter, you just look like a dummy.
Yeah.
So we have to do better because we are better.
Mm-hmm.
We have always been a people that shared information, but it was always truthful or honest information, even if it had a slight edge of what would be the word, embellishment, because we like to embellish a little bit,
right?
But we didn't just pass along lies. And these days, it's just hurtful and it's not very progressive. It actually sets us back. And I'm not just talking about politics. It's just about anything. Lying on somebody that participated in a thing.
Right.
You don't know how that's going to come back on them. Lying on a drug or, COVID. That whole situation was so full of misinformation that wasn't helpful. It wasn't helpful to anybody. So if you are trying to be someone that is respected and believed, you got to be very cognizant of the information that you're putting out. I think I did a post recently about just transparency and how you check on the validity of the stuff that you're sharing. Also, I think I'm going to do another one. AI is a big deal right now. You have to know how to identify pictures that are made up that are not real. So I posted one and I actually showed where you can see their fingers.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 6 fingers instead of 5. And then there was another one where, Donald Trump and some dogs or something. But if you look close, you can see this extra like shag hair. So then it's not him.
Right.
Like there are ways that you can tell if something is AI. And there are ways that you can tell if something is misinformation, but you have to actually do the work and you have to care about your own reputation before you just start passing stuff around. Usually, if it's something that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Okay.
Yep.
Probably is. If they're telling you this is a medical secret that only Harvard knows or that Stanford didn't want to get out, it's probably a lie.
Yep.
So don't go mixing up no concoction where you're gonna wind up in the hospital. Just, I just need my people to be better because we are better.
Now, talking about that, your peoples, you are a wife, you are a mother, you are an advocate for the community. How do you balance all that?
Caffeine in the morning and wine at night. Number 6.
Hey, that is true.
Jesus Christ. It's a lot. Here's the deal. My legacy is important to me. And I want my people to have a vision of their legacy and for that to be important enough to drive them. I have seen bad things happen in this world to my people, by my people. But I have also seen amazing things happen. And most of the time it's because their vision is bigger than their excuses. So one, I've always taken care of myself as much as possible. I used to be a fitness trainer, actually. So when I was at the YMCA, I wound up being a trainer. I got certified and I was just taking care of everybody. I've always been athletic. I've always coached and things of that nature, but I was really just about it. And what I learned is if you take care of yourself, you know your body. Right. So I always knew when my body wasn't acting right too. So I knew when to go to the doctor because I'm like, my digestive don't seem like it's function,
Right.
Or, something don't feel right. I need to. So when you get healthy, pay attention to your body. That's first of all. 2 is give yourself grace. You got to give yourself grace. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do it all. It took me a very long time to realize that. a little depression sits in, not understanding why. Here's the deal, though. When you realize things don't feel good, you have to get back to feeling good. And that's when you're around people that makes you feel weighted and heavy. It's okay to release that too. Because if you have your goals and your legacy in mind, those are the things that make you feel heavy are going to keep you from that. I detoxed my entire life after I had my twins, especially. I was like, oh, this is a lot. I can't with other stuff and other people and other people's stuff. And when you live a life that you have control over, it's easier to do even the hard stuff. It's like pick your hard. I have friends that was not able to have kids. That's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard living that life. Sometimes it's like I see all my friends with kids. I don't have them. That is hard. Yeah. It's hard not having a partner. Sometimes being a single parent is hard. How do I know I have these conversations with my friends? It's hard. So you get to pick your hard, but understanding that this life ain't easy, not for the stuff you actually want. Now, if you're someone that's just fine with life happening to them, okay, you know what I'm saying? Do you? But if you have goals and aspirations, you're trying to grow a business, grow a family, grow your network, your net worth, goals will keep you focused and it will make all the hard a lot easier.
Like that. I like that. That's true. That's true though. Sometimes you got to get rid of the dead weight.
You do. And that's and unapologetically.
Yes.
Like yes. You can't be apologizing for wanting better for yourself.
Yeah.
And hell, you never know. It might be better for them too.
And the word no.
Come on, man. Come
no.
through.
Yeah. No. Nope.
And I have to learn that because innately I like helping people, but sometimes that gets heavy. That's not actually my responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Let's talk about your memoir. Because you wrote a beautiful memoir, but it's a children's memoir cartoon and murder. Like, talk a little bit about that. Because I'm like, hold up. What? Like I was sitting back, look, I'm like, hold up. A child memories of cartoon and murder. Like, what? Break something down. Let's talk.
Okay, first of all, let me give all the authors or pending authors some advice. Don't ever let anyone else pick the title of your book. Okay, so my publisher picked the title of my book. Why did I do that? Your first book is like a bad record deal. Okay. Hello. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I was like still paying her 2 years after the book was out. Well, she was still getting money. You know, she was like puffy for books. I'm just kidding. Let me shut up. Okay, so listen, here's the deal. Yeah. So when I was 5 years old, my mom's uncle, which was my great uncle, came into my home with his friends, and he shot my mother and he unalived her boyfriend in front of me and the boyfriend's son. Wow. So from there, we were taken to, after my mom got out of the hospital, we were taken to a federal witness protection program. So it's not something you just hear or see on Law and Order. It's a real place. It's a real thing. And after that, I was registered through Victim Services in California. Actually, it's been like that since, when did I get off? About maybe 4 years ago. So since I was 5, I was registered with Victim Services until I was in my 40s.
Wow.
Yep. And with that being said, my mom was pregnant at the time. So she had my little brother. And he had issues. We didn't know what it was, but he was off the hook. Later, we found out he had bipolar disorder, but that was one of those moments where you realize when women go through trauma when they're pregnant, it actually does something to the embryo. It does something to the child. So he was a part of that learning experience. But the book is really about going through something like that and how you come out on the other end. And there's choices. And I know people think you don't have a choice on how you react to trauma or things that happen, but you do. You actually do. And let me explain that, because this is the important part of the whole book. When you have people in your life that balance out the trauma, you can heal. And when you don't, or you continue to surround yourself, once you get grown and you can make your own choices and you continue to surround yourself with chaos, your world will be chaotic. So when I was writing the book, I did the research to find the young man that was with me at the time of the murder. And his family fought me on it. And when I finally found him, he was in prison doing life for a triple homicide. That was another one of those lessons that violence begets violence. So not only was his father unalived, but his life is going to be spent behind bars, and he unalived 3 other people. The book is really to help people recognize that our happiness, our joy, our love is our responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility. No one owes you anything. I cannot blame however my life turned out up on anybody but myself, because I have choice. I have freedom of choice. And once you decide what kind of life you want, then it's up to you to go make it happen. And that is it. You make the decision. So yes, when we were talking earlier about detoxing your life, the cool thing is when you get older, right, you start realizing, you start processing like childhood relationships or even young adult relationships. Even if you can look at a person now and start processing what happened a while ago, and you're like, actually, you are a dirtbag. Like, whoa, I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. So one of the individuals that actually participated in that whole kerfluffle, I think he wound up doing time when I was a kid, and in my late teenage years. Actually, I was in college, and I started thinking about the situation, and I was like, he was there. Like, how did he? And one day I asked him about that, and I said, "Hey, when that whole thing happened, and he looked at me like, I can't believe you're asking me about this."
Right.
Here's the deal. We are all responsible for our actions. And some of us don't have to pay for it until later. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for how we treat other people. We are responsible for how we treat other humans. Period.
Yeah.
So our job is, again, to leave the world better than you got it. So if you out in these streets hurting people and lying and being all deceptive and trying to get by, and your goals and your aspirations are bigger than the humans that are involved in your life, nothing good is going to come of this. Nothing. At the end of the day, karma and the Lord will handle you.
Yes, indeed.
So for us, though, it's important to recognize who we surround ourselves with. It is important to recognize that what we put into the world becomes a part of who we are and what we are going to be remembered for. So yeah, it just came a moment where I was like, you know what? Just because somebody calls themselves family, but they're acting like something else, the enemy, it's a no for me. It's a no. And it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
And that takes a while too, is to realize, man, this is my life. Like, I totally get to decide who gets to hang out. I get to decide who comes in this house. I get to decide who's around my children. But, we also have strong people in our family that aren't always okay with how you decide to live your life.
Yeah.
So take it from me. It's going to be okay. If you make decisions for your life and you are fine being responsible for them, because some people would rather take a cop out and be like, well, my mama told me not to leave. My mama told me, no, you are responsible for everything you put into this world. You are also responsible for your spirit. You are responsible for your heart, your joy, your stress, your love,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
legacy that you leave. So if you realize you can't even be happy in a certain environment, you always feel stressed in a certain environment, you get anxiety when certain people enter the room, all of those things matter. So you have to listen to your body. You have to be honest with yourself when something is not good for you and let
Mm-hmm.
it go. And writing the book was really kind of my gift to the young people in my life, including my kids, to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, whatever you decide as an adult, how you want to move, just recognize, one is that you are responsible for it, good, bad, or otherwise. But if you choose joy and you take steps to make sure joy is in your life, that is exactly what you are going to get. So back to what you asked earlier, how do you do it? Kids, career, LA County Commissioner, blah, blah, all the boards, all of these things. I do things that bring me joy. I love public relations. I love helping people tell their story. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love my kids the way that me and my husband have raised them. Even though we had people telling it, don't do this with your kids, don't do that. I'm like, girl, your kid is in prison. Leave me alone. Let
Right.
us do this. So we make decisions for ourselves, but if you choose joy,
Mm-hmm.
take the steps to get there. Just
Like
take the
that.
steps and don't be afraid, because it's your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Well, look, I like to thank you so much. Oh, but hold up, wait a second. The next
Oh,
podcast, because I was about to leave for a second, but the next podcast, what are we going to be hearing with the next podcast?
leaders and learners.
Yeah, got to know what
Oh,
are we going to be talking about on the next podcast.
okay. So the next one, I'm going to have Dr. G from ABC. He is a gay man,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he's a doctor, and he has his own show on ABC. And we're going to talk about the LGBTQI plus community during election season,
Mm.
because it has been nasty. And we are going to get into it. He is very unafraid. He is very opinionated himself, but really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I have some thoughts about it too, and I think that it has really gone far. No matter if you support the gay community or if you're against the gay agenda, we're about to get into it. So that is going to be next Tuesday. It's
Okay.
about to be a conversation.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. All right. So now, it's the end of the show. Ah, it's been a very good show. We
It
got some info.
has. You
We
just keep
had
me
some
on my
fun.
toes.
Listen. We had some fun. Definitely had some fun, but you got to come back on where we can do anything that you got going on. Got to come back
Okay.
on because you
All
got the
right.
scoop. So, can you tell our listeners where they can find you at on social media, websites, etc.?
Listen, like with most brands, it's pretty consistent. So I'm Tonya McKenzie PR on all social media platforms. And you can find the business Sand and Shores on all social media platforms. Sandandshores.com is where you can find us. And I am thrilled to have the opportunity to chat with y'all. And if you have any questions, just holla at your girl.
All right. All right. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. Give everyone the love, the family. We appreciate you so much. Tell your husband thank you for allowing us to have a little bit of your time. Tell the kids thank you too for allowing have a little bit of your time to sit here and chat with us here on the OT Radio Show. We definitely appreciate you. But before you go, my famous quote: if someone asks you how you doing, you tell them you're doing better than yesterday. You feel
Amen.
me? Amen. All right, now, well, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. We appreciate you. And y'all, we just had on Miss T. Yeah. Miss T joined us here on the show. We appreciate it so much. Make sure y'all follow on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Once again, our scholarship is coming to an end. Y'all got to start putting it in. We got 2 months left. 2 months, y'all. Yes, any high school senior that's studying the medical field, we got 2 scholarships for you. here on the OT Radio Show. All you gotta go, we set up partnership with board.org. Just go to them, / at the Tanzimore, my mom, because under my mom. Yo, let's get these scholarships going. We started out with one last year. It went so good, we end up getting 2. And like I said, every year we building because the kids is our future, and we need y'all help to help build it too. So once again, go ahead, tell any person, high school senior that's studying in the medical field, we got a scholarship for them. And y'all can always donate. You get it back in taxes, not going in my pockets, not at all. Board.org take care of all that for me. So guess what? When you donate, OT not even seeing the money. It's just going to go straight to the scholarship. So y'all got to worry about, well, who's getting the money? Believe me when I tell you, Board.org taking care of all that. And they've been doing it for so long. They even got celebrities and everybody else. But OT is glad to partnership with them for the scholarship. But I love y'all. Y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. And like I always say, if someone asks you how you doing, you tell them you're doing better than yesterday. Miss T, thank you for joining me, and we appreciate you, and we will see you again. Make sure y'all follow on all social media platforms. All right, y'all. Peace with your boy OT. We out of here.